we're going to give it a second because sometimes it doesn't always, it says live, but then it doesn't always
Right.
give me live. So I'm like, fuck. I had to re-record the opening, like, hey, welcome to, because it kept chopping it off. Son of a bitch.
Hi, this is Oscar Rios, and welcome to Legends of Tabletop.
Hey, it's good to see you. Of course,
it is good to see you.
Chat a little bit beforehand, but like with everything going on in the world, how are you and yours making out? You guys staying safe? How's things in New York?
Well, it sure has turned around for this country, because now what was the plague zone of New York is now plague-free America, one of the, I think, 3 states. I don't want to say I told you so, rest of America, but yeah. So
it's ours now. It's Arizona.
Not happy that you guys are going through what we went through, because, oh boy, we went through it. And I'm expecting to go through it again because, again, we're one of 3 states who seem to be okay at the moment, but that can't possibly last through flu season. But me and mine are all fine. We are not been sick. We've been diligently quarantining, going out as little as possible. Just being frustrated at everyone, block parties with bars selling booze out of the window. And there was a party boat with like 700 people drinking the other day, and they arrested a whole bunch of people. It's just insane.
What did they call that? The Hillbilly Bash or something like that? It was out in, I think it was out in Illinois, wasn't it?
Oh no, there was a cruise ship on Long Island Sound doing that crap. I mean, I'm talking about New York. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's over." No, it's not over for us. It's just going to take 2 or 3 stupid people to put us right back where we were. And unfortunately, we've got more than 2 or 3 stupid people. So,
yeah, that's for sure.
I'm definitely going to get another haircut in the next couple of weeks, and maybe stock up on some toilet paper before September.
Well, yeah, and you know what's weird, right? So, like, everybody started complaining about haircuts and stuff. Obviously, I shaved my head, so like, it never dawned on me. Like, I haven't had a haircut in, I don't know, 15 years. Like, I just shave my head, once or twice a week. So, like, haircut? What do you? Oh, right. That's like once a month, right? Like,
yeah, once a month, once every 6 weeks. And I'm blessed with thick hair like a silverback gorilla at this point. It is so hot in the summer. It's like a helmet. So yeah, during the summer months, if I could look like Julius Caesar, I will do it. For 3 months, and I got it pretty short, but I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm due again. So I'm definitely going to jump on that before anything bad happens around here.
Well, and that's the thing too, right? Like, you said joking around saying grab toilet paper and stuff, but like, so because of the way people are and what we've already experienced, and I used to do food storage and all that kind of stuff, and I don't really have the space here in Arizona for it because you can't use a garage, can't use the attic, there's no basements. But I've started, buying a little bit extra every time I go. I'm like, well, I don't need, I've got 2 bottles of juice, but you know what, I'm going to get 2 more. I don't need more rice, but it's like a half a bag. I'm going to pick up 5 more pounds. Yeah. That way, when things inevitably get shut down again, or people are scrambling, like you said, when flu season starts and all that stuff, that, you're kind of already prepared for it. Like now on the East Coast, you guys, like, that's the thing, right? Because you get snowstorms, you could be locked in the house for their, long weekend while they're trying.
New York is on Hurricane Lane. If a big enough hurricane hits, it will roll all the way up to Maine.
Yeah.
So yeah, we deal with hurricanes, we deal with snowstorms, not so much thanks to global warming, but power outages when everybody's running their AC. We were part of the great Northeast Corridor blockout in the, and that wasn't fun. But yeah, so we're not in Tornado Alley, thank goodness. I mean, those people, I don't know how they, I'm done. But
it's a different lifestyle.
that is horrifying. But I'm sure that they see pictures of our blizzards and hurricanes, and they're thinking, how can anybody live on the coast? But there you go. But no, I think that we're going to be anybody who lives through this, the rest of our lives, we're going to always be picking up that extra can of beans or that extra can of pasta. It's like people in the Great Depression, 30 years later, they were still not throwing away lard just in case, I mean, how many people they tell jokes about their great grandparents that, they were in the Great Depression and, they still think Spam is good. And they, our great grandchildren are going to be like, oh, my dad, my parents lived through the pandemic and, they're still hoarding toilet paper. They've got like 12 rolls of toilet paper in their house.
Yeah.
That's going to be us. We're a nation of people suffering from PTSD at this point.
Well, and that's the thing, right? So like I said, when I was on the East Coast, I did food storage, all that kind of stuff, water, extra water, and all that. Not, a ton of, I have 4 years worth of food, but you've got a couple of months worth of food and stuff in case something happens. And it's different out here in Arizona because there's not really any sort of natural, I guess maybe super volcano or something. We don't get snow, we don't get floods necessarily, so there's nothing that really in people's minds to be like, oh, I should have extra. But just sort of transferring from there to here, that's sort of been my mindset, and I just got out of the habit. I'm like, oh, I definitely have to get back into this, because how do you not have a week's worth of food in your house? And it's a bachelor joke, right? Oh, you've got an onion and a half a thing of ketchup and a 6-pack of beer. I don't know how people do that, because that's what if I lose my job tomorrow? What if you need to have some sort of foresight and preparation, and this just really brings that, or should really bring that to the fore for people if they can. Now, fortunately, I'm still working, so I can do that. Had I lost my job, well, I'm not buying extra food, right? Because I'm trying to pay my mortgage or whatever. But
right.
Yeah, it's a weird time to be in.
I mean, and it's we'll get through it. It's not our first pandemic. The world's been through this many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
There are people there are some really old people that this is their second global pandemic,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not going to last forever. We will get through it, but none of us are going to be at the same. I guarantee that.
Yeah. Especially for people in really hard hit areas, people that have, unfortunately lost jobs and things like that. Being an introvert, it hasn't changed things for me very much. I play my games online already anyway. I'm still going to work. We don't go gallivanting as much. We spend a weekend up in Tucson, going to all the stores. It's dicking around, buying new board games or whatever. So we don't do that now. Now my world is a 10 by 10 mile square where I go to work and come back and go to the store and come home. That's it.
Yeah, I honestly don't think I've been 20 miles from my house in 6 months.
It's weird, right? I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, fuck, I haven't been past, by me, Sarita Road. It's a couple of miles away. I'm like, I haven't been, the farthest I've traveled is to work. That's it. It's really weird when you sit and think about it.
Right. But it's not just that. I mean, it's, it hasn't hit most of you yet. But when it gets bad, I mean, it's starting to hit other people, other states, unfortunately. But when it gets really bad and the hospitals are overwhelmed and the morgues are overwhelmed and the funeral homes are overwhelmed and they're storing bodies in coolers, that's when it's going to get bad. And I think that it's only a matter of time before almost every state gets to that point. Unfortunately.
Yeah,
and it has. I mean, I've heard other states are at that point where they're getting the refrigerated trucks at the morgues because they just can't keep up. And I'm terrified for those places with the lower population density that thought they were going to be fine, because I'm thinking, you guys realize you don't have a fifth of the number of hospitals we do.
Right.
And sure, there may be 1/3 of you, but you have 1/6 the number of healthcare professionals and medical, and medical facilities.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're, that's that horrible prediction is coming true, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's so like there's a huge difference between where I'm at in Pima County and up where Phoenix is in Maricopa County. Like we have, I don't know what the current numbers are. I want to say that maybe like 18,000 cases down here, but it's like 50 up there, just from population density.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not as many hospitals. I mean, there is in Tucson. Like Tucson's, built up. I mean,
that's a major city.
Yeah. But by me, we have one. I mean, there's one hospital and close to my house. That's it.
Yeah, well, hopefully you won't have to visit it for any reason whatsoever.
Hopefully not. I actually went to the doctor because I had developed a cough. Right. So like we're going to talk about Kickstarter at some point and stuff, but like we're like this is a thing. Like
we're all going through it.
Yeah. So I went and I'm like, so if it wasn't for like COVID stuff, I wouldn't think anything of it. It's cough, it's allergies, it's whatever. And I called and I'm like, yeah, I got this weird thing with some phlegm and stuff. And like, I want to get tested. And they're like, all right, we'll come in, make sure you bring your mask. And yeah, of course, all that stuff. So I go down and they said, everything's clear. They did the test, got the results back the next day, negative, which is what I expected. But like, it's weird because then you have to think about that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even concerned so much for me, not that you're not concerned, but like, I don't want to get my kids sick. I don't want to get somebody at work sick. Parents were like, we go over and sit outside and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to get somebody else sick because I don't, didn't know.
Because you're a decent human being.
No. And I'm like, damn it, I'm doing all the things. Like I got the mask. I don't go anywhere. Like shit.
Yeah. For people like us that, we do our thing virtually and at home. Well, for me at home, most of the time anyway, it's not that big of a deal, except now everyone else is here too. Which makes doing my thing a lot harder. I've been way less productive because everyone is here, but that's fine. I'm happy that they're here. Like my wife will, we converted my son's old room into like her home office. Mm-hmm. So she's working, and then it'll be lunchtime, and we'll be texting each other, when do you want to go to lunch? And I'll make some sandwiches, and she'll come down, and we'll watch a half hour or something on Netflix while we have a sandwich in the living room, and then she goes back to the home office and goes back to work. That's kind of nice.
Well, that's good though. So does she have like an established then, like, hey, I'm going to be in the office from 8 to noon. We'll meet for lunch, and then I'm going to go back to work.
Right. But there are days where she may be in a meeting or stuff, so lunch is kind of a fluid thing.
Yeah.
But it's nice. Like I'll make tea and I'll make some breakfast, and so we get to see each other in the middle of the day. But I let her do her thing, and I'm so busy with everything going on that I've got to do mine.
Yeah.
And the busier you are, the less you think about how weird everything is.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's good because I think that's, again, I'm going to work because I can't work at home, but like, getting in and sort of establishing a routine and sort of, setting up boundaries like, hey, look, I have these things to do. Like, I know I'm home and it's cool, but like you go do your other thing.
We'll say, okay, I'm going to work, and they walk up the stairs, and they make a right, and then they're at work. I'm like, okay, I'm going to work, and I make a left. I go up the next flight of stairs, and I'm at work.
Yeah.
Except now, because of the heat wave, I'm in my living room because my attic is absolutely stifling. And my AC and my brand new cool computer apparently sucked too much juice, and they're fighting over the power in my attic, which is now insufficient for the new computer. Yeah. So it's like, You know, I get the new computer and I'm so excited, and it sucks so much power. I can't be up there in the summer. And I'm like, I'm gonna lose 7 weeks worth of productive work.
That's rough. Yeah, that's rough.
Just because, and it's been like 90. I mean, I'm not gonna complain. You're in Arizona, but so trust me, I'm not getting into that pissing contest with you. For New York, it's been oppressively hot.
Well, not only the heat, it's the humidity. I mean, it really, we joke around about it, but it really is. When it's 90 and the humidity's 70, 80%, it's brutal.
You just, the sweat pours off you. It's like you've got malaria. It's just terrible.
Yeah, I don't miss that.
I'm like, and people are like, it's August. Why are people putting up Halloween decorations? I'm like, so we don't kill ourselves, because all of the people who love autumn like me are like, can we just get this over with? Enough.
Yeah.
It would be different if we could go to the beach. It would be different if we could go and walk around, air conditioned, movie theater, a museum, or sit in an air conditioned movie theater. We're not doing any of that. We're sweating our balls off at home and in our backyards. This sucks. This is the worst summer ever.
It's funny though, right? Because it's hot here, but like we're in monsoon season. So, the rains roll in and it rains really hard for, an hour. Sometimes it rains all day, but, usually you get an hour or two, maybe 3 hours. And then it's gone. It'll cool down, but then it's sort of muggy. I've been doing more writing out on the porch to kind of like take advantage of the chaos of the atmosphere and the rain and stuff. And it's hot, but I'll just go sit out there for like an hour or two and write. And it's been great. I knocked out a bunch of stuff, nothing productive. It's all like, blog stuff, but I've been enjoying that as hot as it is. It's stimulating in some fashion, yeah, because it's different.
Anything to break it up, man.
Yeah, I mean it's nice. When I moved, it felt like the fall got shorter and shorter and shorter on the East Coast. So like some years, you get like 3 weeks, and then it was winter. You go from summer to winter,
right?
And it's super hot here now, but I'm telling you, 8 months out of the year, it's like fall weather. Even if it's 80 with no humidity, like it feels like September, October. That's great. I really love that. And it's usually blue. Sky's always blue, except for now. With monsoons.
Right.
Like right now, it's gray. I'm waiting for the rain, and it's not coming.
Well, I'm praying for a couple. We're supposed to have waves of thunderstorms all through the remnants of the tropical storm tomorrow. That'll bring down our heat, probably about 10 degrees. So, maybe we'll have a decent day or two, but I'm expecting to be just uncomfortable until the mid-September.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's usually the way.
Well, I'm glad that you guys are okay.
Yeah. Hanging in. I'm glad you guys are doing good.
Knock on wood, that'll be true in 6 months.
Yeah, really. I know, right? It's spooky every time you go out of the house.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You really got to watch. And then stupid people are shooting people like, you put on a mask. No, I'm not put on a mask. Like, just like the simplest thing you could possibly do.
And what's funny is that the same could be said of like drinking and driving, seat belts, turn signals, the safety film on medication bottles, these are all ridiculous, safety glass. Did people like freak out and protest when we first had seat belts? Oh, this is impinging upon my rights. I'm like, are you out of your mind?
Well, this is a motorcycle helmet optional state. So you'll see people doing 90 down, Route 10 with no helmet on. I'm like, you're dead. If something happens, you're dead. And maybe that's what you want. Like, maybe you don't want to be all...
Let's drop a cantaloupe out of a moving car going 50. See how that works for you. The human body is not a sturdy thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nuts. It's funny. We talked about this on another show. It's, we sort of like, come out of this rugged individualism and like, fuck the British and we're going to establish this thing and we're going to go our own way and we're going to forge our own path and we're going to bootstrap the whole thing. But like but it's show to a certain extent. Like you really, kind of like embrace that spirit, right? Like, yeah, we're, doing it. But, then you look at the big structure, like corporations are fucking you over and like, you can't get people to put masks on. Like it's not a real thing. It's like a faux, rugged individualism. It's, it's just like, we're all, whiny teenagers. Like, leave me alone. Want to do my own thing. Leave me alone, mom. Like it sucks.
And that's why 154,000 of us are dead, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we'll get, like I said, we'll get through it. It's just gonna take time and sacrifice, and we're, as a nation, have proven to the world embarrassingly that we suck at commitment and sacrifice.
Yep.
And, we're going to have to face that, and we're going to have to own it. And the people who won't probably won't ever.
Right.
I'll be wearing my mask.
Yeah, you and me both.
If Call of Cthulhu has taught us anything, if any role-playing game has taught us anything, life is failed. We are all one critical fumble away from lying in a ditch.
One push to roll.
You laugh because it's terrifying to look at it as a whole.
Yeah. So
you make jokes and you laugh, but the threat is real.
Yep.
I don't want to lose a single person, and I know probably 6 people who've had it. Thankfully, they wrote it out. They were miserable for a long time, and long term, they'll probably have health issues for the rest of their lives. But I haven't lost anyone yet.
Yeah, I've seen that in some of the studies now they're showing, or believe that they're seeing that, it's affecting people's livers. Obviously it affects your lungs, but, there's other longer lasting issues that they believe that they're seeing in at least certain people.
They're not going to understand this for a decade. They're going to be learning about it and unraveling it and really seeing what it is. It's going to be literally, there'll be new discoveries about this a decade later. That I'm sure.
I feel like this is kind of like the swine flu where, that came in and it was bad, but like, that's now like a part of the seasonal flu cycle, like in India, where when they bring people to the hospital, it's swine flu. So like it never went away. And this is, how long has that been already?
Yeah, quite a while.
There was a documentary on Netflix I watched. I don't remember what the hell the name of it was, but it focused on these researchers trying to develop a vaccine that, instead of keying off the superstructures of the virus, because it mutates. Like even in the same season, they're like, oh, we're going to give you this flu vaccine. Ah, shit, we guessed wrong because it mutated, 3 weeks into the season. So instead of hitting those superstructures, I guess, there's apparently some underlying structures that are the same from flu to flu to flu that they've actually tracked back to like 1918. So they were trying to key it on those structures instead to try to get more of a universal flu vaccine. But like it was 5 doses and they were trying to get it down. Then they got it down to 3. And it was a really interesting program. I wish I could remember the name because like it would be super appropriate these days to like.
Yeah, I think I know the one you mean. And when it came out, we were living that in New York. So that was the last thing we wanted to watch on Netflix.
Right. But crazy,
Tiger
right?
King was less terrifying.
But,
And no, I
but
have not watched Tiger King. But I know lots of people who have. I've seen it in the background, and I'm like, I write a game where there's this level of insanity. I don't need to watch this.
But you say you wouldn't want to watch it, but Netflix was reporting like the highest views for like Contagion and Outbreak and like all this.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I rewatched The Stand. I got the old Rob Lowe, miniseries. I rewatched it, and right when this all started, we rewatched The Stand.
Yeah.
And then we resaw Jaws, and we forgave the mayor who reopened the beaches because, yes, human beings are that dumb.
Yeah. It's funny we're masochistic that way to want to like experience that vicariously, even though it's happening just beyond the window.
I think that we've got that lemming gene. When there's too many of us, we just do stupid things to call ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you can see that in the Trump campaign, right?
I'm not. Well, all right. We're gonna move on.
All right, we'll move on. All right, so Kickstarters. You got a new Kickstarter going, huh?
Yes, I've got a new Kickstarter, and when all this started, I launched the last Kickstarter. Just literally, the world started burning about 10 minutes before I hit, launch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to tank my Kickstarter. And we did okay. I don't know how much better we would have done had this not started, but we did okay. Right. And sales have been good. People have been ordering books. I mean, the only place I go now is the supermarket, the gas station, like once every 2 weeks, and the post office. I go to the post office more than I do anything else because we're mailing people books because they're home and they're running games online or they're reading fiction, and our fiction books have been doing really well. So I'm thinking, like nerds are home, they're bored, they've got their stimulus check, and they're ordering books. Okay. And then every con started to just get canceled like dominoes. Mm-hmm. I mean, my last con of the year, which is Carnage on the Mountain in Vermont. Lovely con if you're ever in the Northeast. Great people. Great experience. I've been going there for a few years now. That one finally got canceled. It was the last domino to fall. Literally every one of my usual cons got canceled this year.
Right.
So I'm thinking, well, I would never launch a Kickstarter in the middle of summer because everyone's broke from con season.
Yep, we're not even around. I mean, not broke and away. Yeah,
broke and away. Nobody's going to remember it, hear it, and even if you get the message, they're not going to. They're going to be drinking and traveling and flying and renting rooms and paying for airfare or renting cars or it's amazing to be a nerd in America at this time because you've got so many of these wonderful cons to go to in every state. So summer is a really exciting time for us, unless it's the summer of 2020 when there's nothing going on. So I thought, now might be a good time to launch another Kickstarter because we're home. We're bored. Everybody wants stuff to read, and we may have a few extra shekels in our bag of holding because we're not going to cons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So, which brings us to what we did. This is Growing Up Overnight. It's running now. It's been running for a couple of days now. We are currently at 55% funded on our third day. So I'm pretty happy with the way it's going. It's a double fiction Kickstarter. It's 2 short story collections, one of which is already done. It's written. It's been edited. I've proofread it. It's in the hands of a second proofreader. The minute the Kickstarter is over, I can hopefully assign art or go right to layout.
Right.
Our goal is to have both of these books in the hands of backers digitally in October. Because
Nice.
there's nothing like a new horror anthology during Halloween.
Yep.
And I guarantee everyone, as optimistic as you want to be, we're still going to be on lockdown in October.
Oh, yeah. For the rest of the year, for sure.
Yeah. So the first book, the one that's done, the reason it's done is that book is between Twilight and Dawn.
I'm so excited.
As some of you may remember, that was our failed 2017 Kickstarter, The Darkest Day for Golden Goblin Press. A great fiction anthology that did not fund. Our only Kickstarter that ever did not fund.
I was so disappointed.
You and me both now. And we've had that sitting on our computers. Pretty much all of the authors said, we're not going to pull our stories. We're going to leave them with you. And I'm like, please pull your stories and sell them somewhere else, so I don't owe you money anymore, because I feel like crap that you wrote all these great stories. And yes, some people did sell their stories elsewhere, and I was happy. Please, with my blessing, go. Make the money I should have given you. But most of them are like, no, we know you're good for it. We know you'll try again one day. So we took a long look at it, and out of the 17 stories, we still had a dozen. And I'm one of the douchebags that pulled my story and put it in something else. Which actually came out in Shadows of an Inner Darkness. So that was my the last appointment of the day. So I wrote a replacement story. And I bumped the collection up to, I think, 15 stories. We had 13.
I really enjoyed your story too. And I don't try to figure stuff out when I'm reading, but I had a feeling right from the beginning. And then I was like, oh, I knew it. I knew it.
What, last appointment of the day?
No, Fertile Ground.
Oh, you got, yeah. Okay. I forgot. So for those playing at home, our host John got an advanced copy that was unfortunately not proofread. So I'm sure when I proofread it, I'm like, oh, I sent him this dirty piece of garbage. I felt very embarrassed as I was proofreading and catching all of these mistakes that you got the raw copy. I'm glad that you liked the story. I really can't give too much away.
No. I really enjoyed it, and it's kind of what I thought. It was really good. There was a number of stories.
It takes place in. I can say this. It takes place in Dunwich, on a really prosperous farm, where a farmer's daughter. And again, all of the stories are between Twilight and Dawn, so they have to be fully encompassed in one night. So her dad and her brother are going away, and they're like, no boys. You're not allowed to have any boys, no boys anywhere. And of course, she's got a boy coming over. She's got a gentleman that she wishes to get to know better on the farm. So it's the quintessential farmer's daughter has a boy over while her dad's away, except it's in Dunwich.
Mm-hmm.
And the hardcore fans will know something's up in the first 5 words after the title. And I won't give any more away. So what other stories did you especially like? I'm so glad you liked that one, because what's funny is that was the story I originally wanted to write for the first collection. And I wussied out. I was like, I've got it in my head, and it's so complex, I don't think I can pull it off. So I instead wrote a good, that I'm very proud of, but a much simpler story, which is The Last Appointment of the Day. So when I came back to this, I'm more accomplished as a fiction writer now. I've gotten a lot more experience. So I'm thinking, I'm doing that Dunwich farmer's daughter thing. I'm going to see how it turned out. I'm going to give it my best shot. And I was like really uncomfortable, because I mean, there are some uncomfortable passages in it, and I was like, I don't know, it's either going to be great or it's going to be crap. And I showed it to people, and they're like, dude, this is. My editor said, I think this is the best thing you've written so far, and then patted himself on the back for my progress because he's my editor. So I'm like, yeah, go you. But no, I'm glad that he edits me roughly.
The tie-in moment that comes through was like, oh, that is so good. Like, oh, that's awesome. I think people are really gonna appreciate that.
I hope so. I hope so.
I was like, oh, that's so cool.
So do you have any other favorites we can talk about? Or again, I've reread it and proofread it, so it's still. I mean, for this massive thing, it's still pretty fresh in my mind.
Whiskey, Beans, and Dust, I thought was fantastic. I
like that one. I love the Mountain Hooju practitioner, and the. I've been listening to a podcast called Old Gods of Appalachia, which is amazing, and I'm like, oh, we have a story a lot like that, so. It was really fun to revisit that, but no, I think that's a good one. The grudging respect that you see, the use of the language, like the contextual, like it put you in 1925, like it just it was perfectly spot on. Like I just that one was really good. I really enjoyed that. And as we've already discussed this evening, I'm afraid of tornadoes. And yes, there's a killer tornado in this story. That's spoiling a little, but I won't spoil anymore. But yeah, for me, it was like, and the cherry on top. Oh, and it's a fucking tornado.
I enjoyed Blackjack. The double goer was good. Oren Gray story,
and it's the double goer I like, and it's the shortest one in the book,
and it's subtle. Right,
it's like a shot of whiskey. It's like it's subtle and it's short, and by the time you get to the end of it, it's over, and you're like, "Whoa, that was pretty cool." Yeah, like I remembered I liked it, and then I reread it, and I was like, "Oh, this is why I liked it." Right. Well, I liked them all. I mean, we wouldn't have accepted them in the collection, but Blackjack I like because it's urban spelunking. And I mean, I wrote something called the Winoka Point Research Station. So the whole abandoned government facility breaking in, found footage kind of thing is terrifying. So I love that sort of thing. So to see a story written about that way better than I could do it was a lot of fun.
What was it? The Brian Salmon's story, Graveyard Shift, was good. I enjoyed that one too. Very sort of like Delta Green. Yeah, it's like a Delta Green piece of fiction. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Let me give people some props. Blackjack is by Lee Clark Zumpy. Yep. You said Oren Gray for Double Goer. Whiskey, Beans, and Dust is John Linwood Grant. Graveyard Shift, Brian Salmons. I think I got to give shout out to Richard Lee Briers for Forgetting. That started subtle and got creepier and trippier as it went on. Yeah. But again, I can have something good to say about every single one. Yeah, for sure. And there some of them have sort of like that, weird fiction, Lovecraftian, outer whatever going on, and then some of them are just straight like Tum Shishid. Yes, I don't know it either, but the one with the jack-o'-lantern made out of a turnip, the traditional jack-o'-lantern. And if you've ever Googled like jack-o'-lantern turnips, they're horrifying. Yeah, because it's not easy to carve one, so they always come up looking like some deformed demon thing. Yeah, for sure. And so that was the first story to lead in. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like it's just straight up horror story. Like it's not a Lovecraftian thing or whatever. And, and it sort of weaves in and out where some of them aren't necessarily Lovecraftian per se, but like you can sort of see that
there's
shine.
a horror or a cosmic horror aspect of all of them, I think.
Yeah.
Like that one by William Mielicki, Tom Shield, whatever, I can't pronounce it. That could have easily been like an episode of Monsters or Tales from the Crypt or Tales from the Dark Side. Like that could have been a great, like one of those Halloween movies where it's like 3 segments. That could have easily been, and again, to spoil it, that night is Halloween night. I was really hoping someone would choose their night as Halloween night, and they did.
Yeah, but it was a great collection. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to getting a hard copy of it so I can read it again.
I'm hoping that we can get to the stretch goal where we can do title page art and have an illustration on the title page of every story. Because I'm again an old D&D guy. I loved my title page Dragonlance Harper novel. I loved all that stuff. So
right,
we try and do it as a stretch goal for our fiction collections. We just did it with Tales of Cthulhu Invictus Britannia, and I thought that worked great. I was really happy with the way that turned out. So I'm looking forward to getting Ian working once we hit that stretch goal. But first we need to fund, so not getting too ahead of ourselves.
And Andy's posting. Andy's wild in the chat, so this is for you.
What?
The first Gord books. Talking
Gord.
about the old.
That's
old D&D. No.
Oh no! I'm not that back for it. I have no idea what Gord is.
Maybe the right Max. If you want to clarify, if that was the author then for those books. But yeah, so and I haven't looked at any of the other stories, obviously for the Eldritch Legacy, but that's
we have it's still being written. We have 2 stories in house, 1 story very near completion. I expect it literally any moment. We have 1 story. We have 2 stories in progress, and I can say 2 because I finally got to work on mine this morning and laid down about 3,500 words. Grog the Road. So mine is in progress finally. Brian is going to start on his once we fund. But yeah, we've got about a third of the book done already. And the reason these are taking so long is these are going to be chunky. The minimum word count is 10 grand on words.
Oh, nice.
We want because it's going to be 6 stories, but we want them like novella length.
Right.
So I said it's a minimum of 10. If you go over 17, let's talk. But you can go up to 17.5, which is novelette. Right. It is a word. I argue with people. Look it up. It's a word. It means a short novella.
Right.
But I want 10,000 words. And people are like, oh my God, I'm over my word limit. I'm like, where are you? I'm like 8,500. I'm like, no. This time we want bigger stories. And they're like, oh, thank God. So we had some authors who just got rolling and they thought that their word limit was like 8,000, which is usually what their word limit would be. Right. But because we want it's just going to be 6 stories. I'm like, no, we want really big, chunky stories for this.
That's
and,
no,
so go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say this is a follow up to the other collection, the Children of Lovecraft Country. So it takes those characters and bumps them ahead till they're like 20-ish
in their early 20s. This is going to be a mid-30s collection. So this is all extrapolating what those children have grown up to be and giving stories. For those unfamiliar with Children of Lovecraft Country, it was 6 children who are all cousins, distantly related through the Morgan family of Dunwich, that have branched out to Arkham, Kingsport, Dunwich, and Innsmouth. And there's 2 girls and 4 boys, and they all get together at the holidays, and they're the pre-gens for what we're renaming the Eldritch New England Holiday Collection, which is finished And initial edits are done. We are polishing off the edits on the last of the 4 scenarios. I gave Lisa a week off to do virtual Worldcon and Gen Con. So we should get back to work in a couple of days. But we are about finished that book. And that's Halloween in Dunwich, Christmas in Kingsport, Easter in Arkham, and Innsmouth Independence Day. Right. They're all play tested. They're all written. They're all edited. And the one is we're finishing up the edit, but we're probably going to be able to start laying it out this week. All the art's in, all the maps are in. Really excited about that. And we did a fiction companion where we tell stories of the 6 individual children in the fiction companion, Children of Lovecraft Country, which is out and you can download it. You know, it's a cheap buy-in. It's an $8 PDF. If you're interested in the Kickstarter and you want to pick that one up and see if you liked it, we're happy with the way that turned out. I'm very proud of that book. So and it's funny how that book came about, because one of the stretch goals was adult versions of the pre-gens. And when I was announcing that, one of our authors said, "Wow, we're doing adult version of these characters as short stories. Here's my pitch." And another one said, "Oh, we're doing that? Here's my pitch." And I'm like, guys, wait. And then the third one was like, "Oh, if we're doing that, I definitely want to come back to the collection." So before I knew it, before I could even before the strobe light turned off, I had 3 authors pitching me their idea for a adult version of their character. And all of the authors just had so much fun writing these characters. And they just jumped at the opportunity to do it again. I'm like, well, I guess we've got a book. Whether, I don't know where it came from, but, I guess we're doing this because we've got half of the staff excited to do it. And I was excited to revisit Alice Sanders, my anti-hero is maybe too strong a word, from Innsmouth, a hybrid girl growing up in Innsmouth. When my mom read my first story, which is Blood in the Deep Blue Sea, she called me up and said, "Where's the rest?" And I was like, "What?" She goes, "What happens when she goes and does this? Where's the rest of it?" I'm like, "Mom, that's it. That's the story." And she was like, "Oh, man." She was angry at me. And I'm like, "Well, I guess it was good. If your mom's calling to complain, where's the rest of your story? I guess she wants to read more about the character." Yeah. So I get to tell her, I said, "Mom, I'm writing a sequel where it's 10 years later." And she goes, "Oh, I can't wait to read it." And I started mine today, which is pretty cool.
Nice. Better give her a good resolution this time.
I'm hoping to. And what's really great is that I'm setting it in Port Jefferson, Long Island, which is literally like 30, 40 minutes down the highway from me.
Right.
And I had a question. And I'm like, "Oh, there's a historical society museum. And, and there's a number for the historical society." Because when I did research for New London, Connecticut for a scenario I did called Lonely Point Lighthouse, I actually called the New Haven Historical Society, and they were able to answer every question I had. It was wonderful. So I'm like, "Oh, this is Port Jefferson. I can drive there and go to the museum and maybe try and find a map of the town." And I'm like, "Yeah, I get the recording. Yeah, this festival's closed. This fundraiser's closed. We're going to be closed for the rest of the year. Please leave a message." I'm like, goddamn COVID. I could literally go do my research. I could walk in the town, and it's like, nope. Yeah. Like, might as well be on the moon.
Yeah.
But so my Google foo got to work out trying to find because if you ever try to find the population of a very small town about 90 years ago, it's not going to be that easy.
Right.
But it's taking a bit of digging, researching it. But I'm happy to be revisiting Alice because, one, I'm writing about a hybrid, a Deep One hybrid, post federal raid of Innsmouth.
Yeah.
So Innsmouth no longer exists. So I have to account for all of that. So she's basically a refugee.
Interesting. Max is saying that Wikipedia has populations for quite a few towns back to the 1800s. Oh, that
Okay,
helps. But
Max, when I checked, they had like 1890, 1910, and then it went to like 1970. I was like, God damn it. And it hadn't really grown that much, to be perfectly honest. I think it went from 3,000 to 5,000. So we're not talking about a big place.
right.
Which, again, for my story works, because if you're an Innsmouth refugee hiding from federal agents, you want to be as inconspicuous as possible.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah, we've got some great stories about that. The Gertie Pope story is in, and Gertie Pope is our. I mean, did you read the first one yet, or no?
No, I don't know that I got. Maybe I do. I don't remember. I didn't read it for sure.
You have the PDF. You don't have the physical because we haven't mailed out the rewards yet. We're hoping to soon. But so Gertie Pope is our mystic girl from Dunwich, with other life memories from her Hyperborean ancestors.
Right.
And she's living in a town called Lilydale, which is in upstate New York, right by the Great Lakes. I mean, it's up much more upstate New York than you're in Canada. And I'm like, I told the author it's a place where there's lots of mystics and practitioners and fortune tellers, and the whole town is like dedicated to this. So she started asking me about it, and then finally she's like, wait a minute, is this an actual place? I'm like, yes, Lilydale is an actual place, and it's been filled with mystics and fortune tellers for over 100 years. It's like going back to like the days of seances and Houdini and stuff. Lilydale was a haven, and it still is. If you go to their website, it's still filled with all of these colorful people. So our girl from Dunwich is now living in Lilydale.
Makes sense.
Our boy from Dunwich is still living in Dunwich because, he's a farmer. He's, the son of a farmer. Our boy from Arkham is now, I think, in Philadelphia playing football professionally. And our young scholar boy is now the youngest associate professor on the staff of Miskatonic University at 20. And Alice is leading a band of refugees hiding out in Port Jefferson. Who am I missing?
Nice.
Am I missing? Oh, and our other mystic character, the child who sees ghosts from Kingsport. He runs his parents' art gallery, and he's an artist and photographer in Kingsport, and he sees ghosts. Well, he still sees ghosts. And his story starts because he's got to take pictures for a hospital office party.
Right.
And then somebody says, hey, can you help investigate the haunted wing of the hospital right around Christmas in Kingsport? Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? It's like, hey, you want to take this boat through the Bermuda Triangle? So I love the setup of that story. I can't wait to read it. I've got 2 stories that I'm dying to read, but I'm like so busy with the Kickstarter and writing my own. It's like, and I guess part of me, if like we don't fund, I don't want to make myself even more sad that these stories aren't going to come to be. But I have every confidence. I mean, we're 3 days in and more than 55% of the way there. So,
right. Yeah, I got my back, and then I think second day, because you started like, middle of the night, Saturday into Sunday, and I was like, I get out from work.
Traditionally launch at midnight. The first second of the day of launch is when we launch. So yeah. I stay up late and I launch, and then I'm up half the night watching it like a moron. Like if I stare at it, we'll get more backers.
Yeah.
So I'm a zombie the whole next day. It's part of, and I'm like so superstitious. Gamers are superstitious. Hispanics are superstitious.
Like
Hispanic gamers are really super. So because I had cream soda and corn chips the first Kickstarter. I've had to have corn chips and cream soda every single Kickstarter launch since then, or else I'll whammy things.
Right.
So yeah, I did that, and yeah, it's going well. I'm very happy with the way it's going. We've got some great. We're going to hopefully do title page art on that one. We've already got a design for project bookmarks, because I mean, you know, you're going to get a couple of books. You might want a couple of bookmarks.
Mm-hmm.
For we're going to do art prints because both the cover art for both of these are pretty cool. So we're going to do 8x10 art prints. They're going to be part of the upper level backers, but yes, corn chips and cream. It's actually really good luck. If you if you ever need the gods of luck to favor you, go into your Kickstarter with corn chips and cream soda. The stretch goal we're most looking forward to is Golden Goblin Press tote bags. Yeah,
I saw those. Those look pretty cool.
They look really good. The vendor lets you do a mock-up on, like, put your logo on something and print a photo of it. So we've got the mock-up. I'm like, oh, those look sweet. I really hope we can make that stretch goal, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And, you know, with so many days left to go, I'm sure this is, I mean, because what are we going to do, right? Everybody's stuck at home. Like, we do a lot of board gaming at work. And now with COVID stuff, you know, we're separated at work. I don't even eat in the kitchen anymore. I warm up my food and go find an office or whatever. So I've been doing more reading. So, like, you know, give me more stuff to read.
Right. But, I mean, and again, the way we're doing it, to really be able to push and get it released, at least digitally, in October is very exciting. Because going back to my teen years, I've loved to get a horror book or a horror novel or a cosmic horror short story collection for the month of October. And just when I have that spare moment, or we have that lucky, cold, coolish day, to just, like, get that cup of pumpkin spice coffee or apple cider, you know.
Apple cider.
A couple of cider donuts, like a tray of apple cider donuts, and just read horror with the breeze from outside coming in. There's just something about reading horror in October, in early fall, that's just magical for me. So the chance of being able to deliver to our fans two collections I'm very proud of. I mean, one of them's not done yet, but everybody on that team is amazing. And then there's me. So we've got 5 amazing authors in the hack that is me.
You got in on your own merit.
Yeah, well, my editor said my editor has standing orders that if I'm ever reviewed as the worst part of a book, he's fired. So he's got to protect his own job and save me from myself.
Right.
And I am, you know, according to him, I am improving. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, you know, both books, the done one, I'm very, very proud of of all the authors that have been involved. It's a solid collection. The new one is turning out, is shaping up to be something magical. We're really proud of the first one. And again, I urge people, if you're questioning, if you're questioning backing this because it's 2 books and one is a part 2, spend your $8. You know, read the first one. If you think you didn't get $8 worth of entertainment out of it, email me. We'll have a conversation. Nothing may come of it, but email me and we'll have a conversation. I'm that confident that that's going to be a good story, a good experience for people. I really love that book, but it's short. You know, it's according to my mom, the stories weren't long enough. You know, she was angry. So this way, we've doubled the word length. I think people had like a 6,000 or 7,000 word length, and I'm like, no, it's a minimum 10. Maximum 17, and the first 2 that are in are 13 and 15,000 words. So they're already nice, big, chunky stories.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree with Max. I'm posting stuff on the video here for those listening to this later. Yeah, hard copies definitely. Like I read through the arc, if you want to call it that, for the between Twilight and Dawn, and it's hard. I so much just prefer to have a book. It's the feel, it's the smell, it's the experience.
I know.
And I sat at work and I, was scrolling through and reading through everything, and I'm like, I'm glad of the experience to be able to sit and read this, but like, goddamn, I wish I had a book in my hand right now.
It's just something fulfilling and romantic about holding a book,
Mm-hmm.
And again, now working with our printer and learning how to do this and learning how to do things on BackerKit, we're able to offer hardcover upgrades. So if there's anything cooler than a book, it's a hardcover book.
Mm-hmm.
So now we can do that a lot more cost effectively. We've learned a lot about how to manage our fiction line in the 3 years since this part of this Kickstarter originally failed. Right. I mean, there hasn't been a long period of time where I haven't thought about what went wrong and how can we do this again. The plan to relaunch this has been tumbling around in a corner of my mind for 3 years, and now with COVID and this weird summer and the weird fall approaching, and authors who are home and have a little bit more time to write because they're not going to the beach. It seemed the perfect time to roll the dice on this again. And it's scary because, if you have this one fail again, I don't think we're going to try a third time. I mean, it's just at that point we have to listen to the universe. Yeah. But I don't see that happening. Not with the progress we've already made in the short time that the Kickstarter's been running.
Yeah, and the stories are, I mean, it's definitely, having read the one book, I mean, it's definitely worth it. I mean, it's a no-brainer. And, especially for Golden Goblin, because, like, you back some things, you're like, I don't know, maybe I get it. I've only ever got burned on one Kickstarter, thankfully, and it was sort of like a last-minute thing. I'm like, I'll jump in on that PDF, and, that went out. But, like, even with, the first Cthulhu Invictus book was late. I'm using air quotes. It was late, but you're gonna get it. You know what I mean? It's gonna be quality. It may take a little bit longer to make sure it goes through that process to make sure that you're getting something great at the end. And like, how do you not back that?
In Lisa and my defense, we didn't realize how different writing a setting book would be from writing a scenario collection.
Right.
And I threw myself on the sword. For those of you who remember, I did not go to Necronomicon 2015. And part of that reason was I was home working on Cthulhu Invictus, and I was ashamed to face the community. So yeah, I gave up Necronomicon to try and finally get that book done. And then we won I think we won an award for that.
Yeah, an Emmy maybe? Is that what that was?
Oh yeah.
Oscar's going to grab his Emmy. There it is.
In my china closet with my prized possessions.
There you go.
Yes. So yeah, it was late, but it was late for a reason because we wanted it to be as good as it could be.
Yeah. And you see that with board game stuff too. Like, I know a lot of people, the nature of Kickstarters changed over the years. And, in a lot of ways, for some companies, it's sort of a pre-order system or whatever. And like, I've ordered, some Tasty Minstrel games, board games, and they were late. Crusaders was like 6 or 8 months late. And, people get all bent out of shape about it. But like, it's Tasty Minstrel. It's not like you're not going to get the game. And if it takes a little bit longer, I know that when I get it, it's going to be the best it could possibly be. So I'm like, that's great. I helped to put out a game. I'm getting a quality product back. And if it takes 6 months more, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm the outlier on this kind of stuff, but like I don't care. Like I've got books and games all over, so like if I can't play it tomorrow, it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? Like it's just a weird thing for me because you see a lot of that hate. I mean, Twitter's terrible, but you see a lot of this was supposed to be released and blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, okay, but.
I like to joke that what does Kickstarter and XCOM have in common?
What's that?
A 95% success rate is successful 32% of the time. For those who play XCOM, you'll get that joke. It's a fringe joke, but yeah, everything looks great on paper for Kickstarter. The actual reality is a lot more dicey, but. This is not our first trip to the rodeo. We've been at this for 7 years. We're starting to figure out how to do it. We do learn every project. I have to admit, we are, we're enthusiastic, semi-trained, mildly trained semi-professionals. We don't take ourselves seriously. We work real hard. We have got great teams. We've got great people working hard for us. If something is late, it's because it's just not good yet, or it's just not done yet. Or, we've had people suffer real life setbacks and we've had to wait, I mean, we love our people and we love our teams, and we're not looking to dump anyone. We're not looking to jump ship because someone is unavailable for a month. So sometimes something's going to have to wait for a month. But there's always other things to be working on. So, I mean, if one project is stalled because of whatever reason, we're pushing on something else.
And that's what it comes down to too. Like, you look at Kickstarter and it's this organization where you're backing games or books or, whatever it is. But, there's people behind it. There's people that are doing the thing, and a lot of times, like, with, say Golden Goblin, like it's you and Lisa, and like, you've got a lot of other people who are working within the system, but like, it's you.
It's me. The command staff would be me, Lisa Paddle, Mark Shireman, Jeff Muller, and Brian Sammons. And Brian Sammons is just our fiction guy. He may write a scenario for us, but he's our fiction line editor. Lisa's our gaming line editor. Jeff's a gaming editor. We have one layout guy that we love. He's responsible for our amazing look. I can't replace him. He is irreplaceable. Golden Goblin Press will not be the same without him being involved. And if he's busy, we're going to wait.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, he's that good, and we have that relationship with him. If Lisa is going to 10 cons a year, we're going to fit around her schedule because her and I work wonderful together, and she makes everything I do better, and she knows my quirks. She's going to be able to edit my work more effectively than any other editor out there because we've had such a long relationship working together. I mean, she's literally like my right hand on projects that I write. So yeah, I mean, and luckily we've got a bunch of good illustrators that we can go to, so that's not a problem. I think we've got 4 at this point that are just solid that we can tap in there. We've got a couple of good cartographers, but really it's a handful of people. Mm-hmm. Our fiction guys, we get more of those every year. What's good is that when you actually pay authors in a timely fashion, they tell other authors that you're good to work for. So you have more authors pitching to work for you. So We've been able to grow our stable of people that we can invite to collections. That's why we've got that massive book you just read by all of these stories written by all of these different people, because they were confident one day they'd get paid.
Right. And not worried that
it's sad how authors are really abused. And I swore I'd never be that guy. I mean, I'm an author first, so I'm not going to be that publisher that you have to chase after. Mm-hmm. Our goal is, I mean, the day we release the PDF, everyone gets paid.
Right.
And industry standard is within 90 days of physical release. And that's bull. That's crap. I won't do that.
Yeah.
So again, I've got great authors willing to work for me because they don't have to chase after me.
Not only do they not have to chase after you, they don't have to worry that there'll be some very strange forward.
You're going there. I didn't know we were going there, but okay, it's your show. We're going there.
I just sometimes weird things happen when books get published.
Wow. That's yeah. I was there in 2013, so as a brown-skinned minority New Yorker, not a fan.
Yeah.
Wait, as a brown-skinned minority publisher who's published said individual, really not a fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just bonkers. I can't even begin. Those poor authors, especially the poor authors. I read that some of them, this was their first publication. Yeah, could you imagine telling your mom, I'm going to be in this, and then this happens?
Yeah.
You know, your coming out story, your swan song, man.
Yeah, it sucks. I saw hints of things going on Facebook, and I'm like, what the hell is this about? And I kind of had to hunt it down, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what's happening.
Well, for those of you who are not following what we're alluding to,
here you go, Max.
Do we even want to go there, or just let them find it out themselves? All right.
I mean, it's
research a story about authors' forwards and controversy with, the date of like 3 days ago, and it'll come up in your browser.
Yeah, in the weird fiction community. But yeah, I guess that's whatever.
Wow, I was like, are we going to talk about this? 'Cause I'm not putting it up.
I was trying to slide it in real quick and just keep moving.
Okay, let's move on. Moving swiftly on, as my Welsh friends say.
And so for the Kickstarter, there are, you can, depending on your pledge level, you have the add-ons as well, both PDFs and physical copies, although not physical copies for some things, I guess, at this point.
What do you mean?
The hardcover digital for Dread, Shadows, and Paradise, so it's just soft cover and
yeah, we're not reprinting that one in hardcover.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really old. So yeah.
But there's a couple. I mean, everything you can get in softcover, which is, that's fine. It's a book.
The thing is that to do a hardcover, you need another ISBN number, another barcode, and another cover design.
Yeah.
So for all of that hassle, it's a little bit much to ask our designer to do that. But if we have done hardcovers for these in the past, that's already set up with the printer, so there's no buy-in. We can just say, we need X amount of hardcovers. They've got all of the designs. So that's why Heroes of Red Hook is available, Children of Lovecraft is available, Tales of Cthulhu Invictus is available, all in hardcover, because we're already set up at the printer to print those. And we may have some in stock, and we can print other ones easy. But if we haven't done a Kickstarter hardcover for them before, then it's you're investing more time, gold, and sweat and blood in that. So
right,
that's why. That's the bean counting logistics of it.
Yeah, well, that happens.
And for those mad that I have to count the beans, well, I also have to keep the lights on in my little podunk publishing house, so I've got to count these beans.
No, what's the what?
They say amateurs study tactics, professionals study logistics.
So, what is the status of stuff that's still hanging around from previous Kickstarters?
Previous Kickstarters for Inner Darkness is fully delivered.
Yeah, I think I had
We've
that
got
on my shelf.
we've got some international backers that got screwed with slow mailing, and those books, as far as I know, are still arriving. There you go.
Fine. Yep.
Yeah, so it's funny. People were like complaining and like, "Oh, mine just arrived." I'm like, "I mailed that like 3 months ago." I guess COVID has really destroyed international shipping, so a lot of this is just starting to arrive to a unfortunate few of our international fans. And if things get lost, I'm good for it. You know, we'll sort it out. We'll work it out. So that one is done, as far as I know. There may be things still trickling in the mail. I can't imagine how, but they are. Children of Lovecraft Country, the fiction book is done, printed in my office upstairs. We're ready to print that out, send that out. The RPG book for that is fully written, almost completely edited. We are editing the last scenario. We're going to start laying it out probably by this weekend. We have all the art in, all the maps in, all the scenarios have been play tested. So that one is for me as an author, has been done for a while. Lisa, on the other hand, had to decipher my mess and make it coherent. And for those who've ever gotten an email from me, you know that's not as easy as it sounds. I'm an author who can't spell well and has just a tentative grasp on the English language, which is my only language. So that's even more sad and embarrassing. So Lisa, you know, trust me, she's an absolute hero of the community. But it's taking some time. We hope to be finished and get fully into layout as soon as possible. We've got to wait for Chaosium approval before we can deliver the PDF. But we are pushing just as hard as we can to get that out as soon as possible. The hard part is done. It's written, it's edited. We're just smoothing out the final scenario. But again, it's a campaign. It's 4 interconnected scenarios with 6 pre-gens, 6 adult versions of the pre-gens, 6 pulp Cthulhu versions of the pre-gen, which were really fun and stupid to write. And she, you know, and then Lisa was editing them and she was having fun. She goes, "Really? You're pulling out every pulp trope in the book." She's like, "This person has an evil twin brother and he's a Nazi?" I'm like, yes, he is. Literally, it's that dopey. But it's Pulp Cthulhu, so yes, it's that dopey.
Right.
I'm a kid who saw Raiders of the Lost Ark in the movies like 9 times. I love this crap.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the Pulp Cthulhu character, those were a lot of fun. We've got 6 best friend forever characters. So we have 6 other kids who are friends of these kids that are in the book. So it's coming with it's coming with 24 pre-gens.
Jeez.
A family tree, which, oh my God, that is not as easy as it sounds. Because every time I wrote a scenario, Lisa was like, "This character is really interesting. How are they related to the rest of the characters?" And I'm like, okay, thank God there's good genealogy software. Now I just need to track down, you know, get my designer to commit to actually drawing this out as a family tree. But that was way harder than I expected it to be. No, we have not illustrated the Ghost Kid.
He's gonna be sad.
Or have we? Maybe we have. You know what? I can't commit to that, but I will mention if I think maybe not. There may be one picture where he appears. Stay tuned for a Kickstarter update where I will clarify this. I will answer this in the next Kickstarter update, and if not, email me, and I will send you the picture. It will spoil the ending, but I will send you the picture if he actually appears in it.
So yes, don't open the email until you've already played the scenarios.
Well, if he knows there's a ghost kid, he's already played at least one of the scenarios. One of our pre-gens is haunted by the ghost of a little boy named Simon. He is our Kingsport kid. So Simon is what everyone thinks is his imaginary friend, and Simon is actually the ghost of a kid that died outside of his house.
Yeah.
So I'm like totally thrown of where I was.
No, I'm sorry. This happens all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
But no, that book it's massive. It's like I didn't realize how massive it was, because again, it's a 4-scenario book, so I let them be long, chunky, multi-session scenarios. The 2 scenarios that I rewrote and expanded are just massively expanded, and the other 2 scenarios are either even longer than that. I think when we play tested Easter and Arkham, that was like 3 3-hour sessions, and I think when we play tested Innsmouth Independence Day, that might have been 4 3-hour sessions. So these are just chunky, really detail-filled scenarios.
So I can't imagine how long it would have been if we would have played.
Oh wow, it was long. It's yeah. They're going to be a lot of fun. I think. I'm very happy with the way they've all turned out. But that one again, all art is in, all maps are in. We need to get we've got a lot of layout to do. It's going to need a lot of art design, especially with things like the family tree and the pre-gens. We are editing the last scenario. We hope to have that nailed down in a week or so and start layout possibly before that. How long that's going to take, I can't say. How long it's going to take to get the files approved from Chaosium, I can't say. We're pushing as hard as we can. Britannia and Beyond is we've got some of our stretch goals out. We are still working on the expanded manuscript. We are batting things back and forth with editing. We are working with some authors to get the new material in. That's a little bit of limbo as we push to get the Lovecraft Country collection out the door. Once, we've got one Kickstarter in front of it.
Right.
So for those of you who are afraid that we're launching another Kickstarter with these 2 Kickstarters, don't worry, because I have totally different teams for each. We have a different editor for our fiction line, and we have different illustrators. The illustrators for both of these, if they get assignments, they're not part of the Britannia book anyway, so there's no conflict there. Layout for a fiction book is much faster than an RPG. So these are the kind of books that Mark can knock out in probably 1/3 of the time of a fiction book. So once he gets the manuscript, this is kind of a softball. It's a softball for him. It's even a wiffle ball. I wouldn't even say a softball. He knocks these out really quick, and they look beautiful. So there's some crossover with layout, but it's not really an issue. So pushing the fiction books out the door isn't going to hold up Britannia at all, because those teams aren't on the same track. We're lucky now that we have enough people that we can have a dedicated fiction team.
Right. Well, that's cool. Yeah, because there's probably got to be at least one guy that's like, I can't believe that there's another. It's inevitable.
We'll be lucky if there's one guy.
Well, but I guess it is a fine line, though, too, right? So when you're bringing stuff to Kickstarter, what is the public perception of like where are things at and what's been filled and not filled, and again, I get it. Like I get that consideration from people, but again with like Golden Goblin Press or Taste of Israel, companies that people that or we'll use air quotes, right? I mean, whatever.
Right.
But that stuff is going on, that stuff's going to come to fruition. And I think, a lot of times just the regular updates and stuff like that is, hey, this is where this is right now. This is where this is. And just, letting people know, then it's like, oh, okay, cool. I didn't know that's where that was. I'm happy now. Like I know that this is where this project is.
Right. Like when I started catching wind that Britannia, the manuscript's going to take us a while longer than we thought, I pushed hard on the fiction to come out, just so those fans would have something in hand.
Right.
That would buy us some time and goodwill. And again, we are updating. And with regards to you go to Kickstarter, I would have never tried to launch another RPG Kickstarter. The only reason I'm launching one now is it's purely fiction. I would have not taxed my team or the goodwill of the fan base by having 3 outstanding RPG Kickstarters. 2 is bad enough. I honestly thought that the 1920s children's campaign would have been out by now. We've just the scenarios are way larger than I anticipated, and they took longer. They're taking longer to edit. But Lisa's working just as hard as anyone can, and we're making good progress. And I'm very happy with the way everything is turning out, and I think our fans will be satisfied with the wait. But yeah,
Cool.
I would have never dared try and launch a fiction Kickstarter with the 2 we have in the pipe. And we won't be launching another one until one or both of them are released.
Right. Okay. And then are you getting a chance to play? I know you did like an Iron GM competition a couple of weeks ago. What was that all about?
Yes, I did. I did an Iron GM competition. Never done one before. It's always been on my eventually list. I got 3 really, and again, I can't say too much because it's ongoing. There are other GMs who haven't gotten the 3 elements yet. We're all getting the same 3 elements.
Oh, okay.
It's not restricted to game system, so you could do any game system you want as long as it has these 3 elements. You provide pre-gens, and it's playable in 4 hours, and your players have to have everything they need to complete it. So I will say that I struggled initially with coming up with a cohesive concept of how to blend these 3 scenarios together. And all I kept having was a reoccurring really bad idea. And I got to the point where I was about to email the guy and say, look, I got nothing, and quit, which completely defeats the whole purpose of me challenging myself to be in the Iron GM competition. So I was ashamed of myself for having that moment of doubt. And I said, a really bad idea is better than no idea. So I leaned as hard as I could into the really bad idea. And I came up with a complete scenario based on the bad idea. And I thought it was kooky and fun and interesting. And we did play, and I think I entertained my players. I didn't have the 6 players that I was supposed to have. I only had 3. So that was a little disheartening. And I recruited a 4th player myself. So...
was that when you were looking for players? What was it, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I had a feeling that's what that was for.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a snafu with the organizing the player judges. So, but I will say one thing about my adventure that I was very proud of and equally disappointed in. Have you seen The X-Files?
Yeah, most of it.
Have you? You're aware of The X-Files?
Yeah.
Have you seen the 1980s classic They Live?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen a cult, more recent classic called John Dies at the End?
The name is familiar. I don't think I've seen it.
Okay, my 6 pre-gen characters were Fox Mulder and Dana Scully, Nada and Frank, who have the epic fight scene. Roddy Piper, and have that 8-minute long fight scene that is absolutely famous in 80s horror. And John Cheese and David Wong from John Dies at the End. If you haven't seen John Dies at the End, get your hands on a copy, download it, give it a shot. I describe it to people who haven't seen it it's the Shaun of the Dead. What Shaun of the Dead does for zombies, John Dies at the End does for cosmic horror.
Huh. Okay.
I recently showed it to a pair of really good friends, and they'd never seen it. And they're like big cosmic horror people. They're playtesters and mega supporters of the company, and they go to Necronomicon. And they were like, how did we never see this film? Thank you for showing this absolutely gonzo kind of movie to us. So when I got my playtesters, I had one guy says, I loved John Dies at the End. I want to play David Wong. And I had one guy said, oh my God, I got to play Roddy Piper. And the other 2 guys were like, well, I kind of know X-Files. I'll play Fox Mulder. And the 4th guy was like, well, I don't know any of these.
Wow.
So I guess I'll play the Doctor. And I was like, how do you not know any of these? Like, I can understand 1 and even 2, but how do you not know the X-Files?
Yeah, I mean, it's a cultural phenomenon. I mean, it was on the air for like 10 years or something, right? I mean,
so I knew I was in trouble from selecting the pre-gens. Because it's like, when I get a chance to write something that's not going to be published, I just have fun with doing strange crossover events. Right. I've got a scenario where Captain Steve Rogers and is fighting the Nazis alongside Professor Broom from Hellboy. Yeah, I've got that. That's on paper. I can run that tomorrow. It's like, glider troops led by Captain America fighting with the professor from Hellboy against the Thule Society. I can never publish it. I got my ass sued from high heaven, but it's there and it's hilarious. So I decided to do that, and it was like, hey, what if I tell a joke and no one comes? So, yeah, it was a little bit of a odd thing, but I'm sure I'm not winning. But I stand by my really bad scenario.
That's fair.
And honestly, my goal was to do an Iron GM. So mission accomplished. Goal, achievement unlocked. Competed in Iron GM. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, I had no expectation. Even less expectation after the experience.
I wish I could have got in on that then.
But I'm not running it for you until you see John Dies at the End. I'm not going through that again. That was painful.
I wonder if it's on. I watch so much stuff on Netflix now. Like I just went
Netflix for the longest time. I don't think it's on Netflix now.
Ah, crap.
But it's definitely on Amazon Prime and probably every legal fucking pirate channel out there. Yeah, yes, it's off the bucket list. I competed in Iron GM.
I started, again with the COVID stuff, like it's changed stuff around, and I was watching stuff on Netflix a little bit. I had Dish, I dumped Dish, I went to Hulu, so I'm on Netflix and I go to the original programming. Like, what's on there? There's a couple of things. They had the Korean zombie thing, so I watched that, That was really cool.
Train to Busan?
Yeah, no. That was fantastic. There's a Korean TV series.
The Kingdom.
Kingdom. Yeah.
I think I told you about that. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was really good. I thought
we got to watch 2 seasons back to back. I had to wait between season 1 and 2.
So I kind of went to the originals and started like working through. And I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. So I watched Dark. I watched Giri Hari. I watched Black Spot. I watched Ed Vedum, Altered Carbon, like just like show after show after show, and it's been amazing. And they're so like near future, but like they're good dramas, right? So like they're written well, and there's like all these crazy character interaction stuff, but it's so interesting on a meta level, right? So like watch Altered Carbon. I'm late to the party, but like Altered Carbon is Eclipse Phase. Like it's the Eclipse Phase game in TV format, and it's good as it stands, but on another level it's so interesting to like, well, what if we had stacks, and like would there be people who are like, no, you have to like really live, and not like, it just opens up this whole other thing. So like I'm watching the show going, this is pretty cool, but like it's all percolating back here, like thinking about all these different it's been so good.
I watch a lot of anime, so if I catch an anime and it's got 2 seasons, that could be 48 episodes of something for me to watch. So I'll watch an anime that's a few years old, hoping I like the first 2 episodes, because then I know I've got another 10 or 20 or 30 to watch.
Right.
I decided to completely rewatch Samurai Jack in order.
Yeah.
From season 1 to season 5. And I had all of the DVDs and the last season on Blu-ray. And I always said, when I get really bored, well, thank you, COVID-19. I've been really bored. And I watched all of them in like a week and like cried like an idiot because I've been a fan of the show since it premiered. I ordered BritBox to start watching the Sharp series of movies that I'd heard so much about, to actually see Sean Bean not die. And I got to about season 4, and I'm like, wow, these are really corny, but I've watched like 30 hours of it already, and I've got another 30 hours of this stuff to go. So I know I've got to go back and continue watching the Sharp series, because I've committed to watching the Sharp series. But oh boy, it's the same story every movie. It's worse than Harry Potter. Everybody loves Harry Potter. Everybody hates Harry Potter. Everybody loves Harry Potter. The end. Rinse and repeat. And I'm sorry for all the Harry Potter fans. They're not well written. It's the same recycled plot, movie after movie after movie.
Yeah, I never read them. I missed that boat.
I just watch the movies. My kids have them on a lot. But no, I like anime. The storytelling, the scripts of it are pretty cool. I mean, some of it's really dopey and, misogynistic and just ridiculous. I've been gearing towards what they call the slice of life animes, which are basically animated soap operas. So I'm like heavily invested in a few animated soap operas, which is fine.
Are you watching the swimming one? I forget what the hell it's called.
I don't watch. Well, I can't say I don't watch the sports one. I watch actually a lot. There's one there. I can't remember any of the names of these. There's one about a sport where they recite poetry. So it's like a memory game of hitting cards away when they read a poem, and you've got to, I watched one about a kid who was a chess guy, like a competitive chess player, and it's all soap opera. It's all like, his parents died, and he's living with this other family who are chess masters, and he overshadows the kids, so everybody hates him. And it's just ridiculous. But they're soap operas. And again, they're not badly written soap operas, but they're animated soap operas for adults. So I've been watching a lot of those.
Yeah, we started watching Attack on Titan over again. I watched all the first season. And
I got to season 2, and then I overheard my daughter watching season 3. I'm like, "Is this as stupid as it sounds?" And she said, "Yeah." And then by then I was like, "Yeah, I'm done. I think I'm good."
Yeah.
And Sword Art Online, same thing. I watched the first, I think, 2 seasons, and then I overheard her watching the 3rd season. I'm like, "This doesn't sound great." She's like, "It's not." And then she watched the whole season after that and was like, "Oh, God, this is bad." And now the next season has just started and she's not even watching it. It's hard to keep those going. I watched 81 episodes of, what is it called? The High School for Superheroes. What is that? My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
I literally watched 81 like a season was about to start, and I said, I'm going to catch up so I can watch the new season with you. And my daughter goes, "You're going to have to watch like 54 episodes in a week." And thank you, COVID-19. I have no life, and I was able to catch up on everything until and before the new season. That's a great show if you want to watch something.
And they're typically at least the so we watch Parasite, we watch Attack on Titan.
Parasite's great.
Yeah, they're only like 20-ish minutes, so like you could kill a lot of episodes in a pretty quick amount of time.
Especially if you skip the credits in the opening.
Yeah, we do.
If you strip the credits in the opening, you're cutting 5 minutes off of a 23-minute episode.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, so I almost don't even watch TV in English anymore because everything on Netflix is all foreign stuff. And I'm like, this is great. And you really have to be engaged with what's going on because you're watching it and you're reading it and you're trying to figure out who's who and what's going on. And
the only time I watch anything that doesn't have a subtitle is when one of my asshole cats decides to be pissy and lay in front of my TV. So the cat will block the subtitles at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, crap, I got to watch regular TV.
Well, it's funny, too. Like, we started watching when we were still watching the zombie thing. The fuck's it called? On AMC. Walking Dead.
Oh, Walking Dead. Yeah.
Because sometimes they get real low.
2 seasons ago.
The sound was never, like, super consistent. Or like somebody would mumble something, but it would come up on the bottom and you're like, oh, fuck, I would have never got that just watching it. So I started watching that with subtitles on all the time because you'd get so much extra out of the show. Right. Or they'd show the name. You're like, who the fuck is that? And they're like, oh, this is, Toby or whatever. Like, oh, isn't he the guy from, you just make those connections when you see it. So, yeah. But yeah, with dumping Hulu, I lost AMC. I watched all the way up through last season. I'm a Daryl guy, so like he's still there. I'm still watching, but now it's gone.
Right.
And that's fine. It got bad after a while. I mean,
how many seasons did you get?
I watched up to last season. Through last season. Yeah.
Yeah, I bailed a few years ago.
Yeah, so did my kid. Yeah.
When Negan went 2 seasons, yeah. I was like, yeah, I'm kind of done. When the whole joke, are there going to be any dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour? Are there going to be any zombies in your zombie apocalypse show? Or is it just going to be douchebags killing each other over melons? I'm like, the melon wars. I didn't sign up for this. I was watching a zombie show. We're gonna fight over produce now. Yeah, I'm done. Thank you. No thanks.
That is the thing, though, right? Like as the world gets smaller and or bigger, as food gets, more like that's the element of it, really. I mean, like the zombies are cool, and you pop their eyes out or whatever, but like that human element is really sort of like the driving factor, though.
Yeah, but I know people suck. I don't need. I don't watch. I don't watch The Walking Dead to see how much people suck. If I start to have any faith in humanity and I want to remind myself that people suck, I'll watch the news.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, totally fair. Shit. Well, whatever. It's all. I mean, now it's such a part of the zeitgeist now.
Right.
With all, and that's been hot for, not just The Walking Dead, but zombie stuff for so long now. And it's like, oh, is it played out? And then something new will come out, and people are like, oh man, that's so cool. Or like they did this thing that was a little bit different or whatever, like iZombie, which I don't know if it was any good. I didn't watch it, but you're still seeing permutations of that zombie story. And now I'll go Train to Busan. Amazing. I mean,
Amazing. I'm really looking
party.
forward to seeing the sequel, Peninsula. I hope it holds up.
It seems weird that they would do a sequel because it was such a concise.
Well, it made a lot of money.
I know, that's what scares me, right?
And people really liked it. So, yeah, I can see making a sequel.
I guess.
Hey, look, sometimes you get aliens. It's not always Matrix Reloaded, okay?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, there's an Empire Strikes Back or a Wrath of Khan. They're
That's
not
true.
always doomed. Sometimes you can build.
And it's funny. So, like the first season of Kingdom, I loved. The second season, without spoiling anything, I don't think I really kind of felt like they jumped the shark.
Did you?
At the end, because you establish.
At the end, yes, they're foreshadowing season 3, and they're fundamentally going to change the way the show is going.
Yeah,
like they have a super villain. And
but that's the thing, right? Like we established the rules of the world, and then we immediately change the rules 3 episodes later. And I'm like,
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I can see why authors would want to expand on their mythology, but usually what they end up doing is just pissing in the lemonade that they've mastered,
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, I'll check it out. I mean, I'm not going to not watch it, but
Right.
I'll be quick to pull the trigger. Yeah.
You'll give it 3 episodes.
If
it's a real stinker too,
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see. Well, and so with cons being canceled and all that kind of stuff, you said sales are good and things are kind of like going fairly well, so that's good.
Yeah.
But looking ahead to next year would have been a Necronomicon year.
It's God willing, it will still be a Necronomicon year.
I don't know. Like
Don't say that. Don't even think it. There will be a 2021 Necronomicon, and it will be the best one ever.
I believe in you. Yeah, it's had me kind of worried.
I'm already talking to those folks.
Are you? Yeah.
Yeah, they're already planning.
I mean, you have to. I mean, you have to be planning that.
It's a huge con. It's it's Cosmic Horrorpalooza.
Yeah.
It's our Woodstock.
It's the fire water thing too. So you have a lot of people coming from outside of town. So planning for this year coming up is even more important.
Right. So
you have that much more influx into the town.
I mean, I have faith in our pharmaceutical, not in their morals, but in their science. I think that there will be a cure or at least a vaccine or effective treatments by then. Everyone's saying early 2021. So I can't imagine a year from now we don't have this nut cracked.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if we get effective leadership in place, we'll be able to get masks on people, lock this country down, and solve the problem in 2 months.
Yeah.
And for those of you who say that's impossible, let's talk about New Zealand.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and Australia was doing really good too. And then I just saw that they've had a big spike and they just locked everything down again, declared state of emergency. And
right. I don't care how long this country needs to be locked down, so long as Necronomicon 2021 happens. I don't care how many people get the shit slapped out of them in Kmart for not wearing a mask. I don't care. Wear a mask. Stay the F home. I've already given up on Halloween. And for those of you who didn't realize, Halloween was on daylight savings on a Saturday. We could have had a Saturday Halloween with an extra hour.
They fucked it all up.
And it's not happening. You know, who's going to be answering the door for Jeremy kids looking for candy? Not me. And that's horrible. I love Halloween. And I'm terrified to like have trick-or-treaters. You know, I have a mother-in-law who's in her mid-70s. I can't risk anything getting into this house.
Well, not only that, the parents who are taking their kids out, do you want your little kids touching something that someone else touched
over
and
over, house by house by house by house? You're rolling that dice.
Yeah.
And if you've played XCOM, you know that 98, will, on an 80% chance of success, you will get that 98.
Yeah.
If Call of Cthulhu has taught us anything, is that 96 to 100 roll does come out.
Yeah. Well, and I want to, everybody talks about the new normal or whatever, but I wonder then, when we're at Necro, if we don't see, a quarter of the people with masks on,
I can't. I'm not going to imagine Necronomicon like it is now. I have to have faith that by then we will be in a better place.
Yeah.
I have to believe that. It's not that hard. It's not. If people should just pull it together. And if I believe that, if we had effective leadership, we would have beaten this by now.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be the laughingstock of the world. We wouldn't be plague zone planet Earth that we're not allowed to travel to every other country on the planet.
Yeah. Well, when your kid says it's okay, it's going to kill people in states that we don't care about. I mean,
oh, we're going there, huh?
I'm drive by. I'm throwing
as a New Yorker. Those kerosene soaked rags. Just throw them at the bonfire that is my anger. Oh, we don't have to do anything. It's all the dirty liberals in New York.
Yeah.
And I want to say who's laughing now, but I'm crying. I'm crying for everybody who's sick and dying and losing people, and it doesn't matter what state you're in. It doesn't matter your politics. You're a human being and you deserve better than this.
Yeah.
Period.
For sure. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it should be a no-brainer, but people got people, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And, and people suck. So
yeah.
Walking Dead has taught us that.
If nothing else.
If nothing else.
All right. Well, so are you getting a chance to play anything? I know we mentioned briefly off there.
Yes. I traditionally try to get into an online game about once a year, and I find it's about as successful as grabbing a hot pot. I just drop it, and I'm smart enough not to try and grab a hot pot for another year. For whatever reason, if it be it technology, because I'm about as technical as a brick through a window, be it time zone differences that I've got to be up at the crack of dawn or up late at night, be it scheduling that we play once and it's great, and then it takes 9 weeks to get the second session. For whatever reason, it never seems to work out. So I wanted to get into a game that was completely unrelated to what I do for work. So nothing horror related, certainly nothing Call of Cthulhu related, nothing where I would be known as Oscar Rios from Golden Goblin Press. I would just be Joe Schmo player from Queens, New York, and there'd be no pressure on me to be smart or entertaining, to live up to my reputation. I could just be a douche playing a game with a bunch of other people online. So I'm on a group, Star Frontiers Alive and Well Facebook group, and they were advertising a game, a drop-in game. And I was like, oh man, Star Frontiers was totally my jam.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been on the site, and people are posting stuff, and they're talking about the games they're playing, and linking to, there's like a Star Frontier fan magazine that's still going strong. And
wow.
I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that there was still a Star Frontiers community.
I still get comments on the videos for the campaign that we started and aborted.
We tried. It's funny because when I was going through my files, I found some of those files, and it was really sad. But so I rolled up a character and I dropped into the game, and it's Mountain Time Zone. So for me, it's 10 to like 1 in the morning. So I tell my wife as I go up to this game, if everything goes well, you won't see me till tomorrow. If this goes pear-shaped, I'll be down in half an hour. I'll be in bed before 11, and if not, I'll see you tomorrow. And strangely enough, I had a wonderful time. We had a bunch of people playing, and they were all Star Frontiers fans, and there were technical issues, but it didn't matter because we were all kind of in our groove, and just being in that space again, it was like I was 16 again, playing playing Star Frontiers in the mid '80s, and it was a lot of laughs, and I'm really looking forward to the second session. I've already upgraded my character with some points. They're using a alternate skill system from one of the Star Frontier fan magazines. So it's like I had to relearn a new rule, like a slightly different skill system.
Right.
But it was, like falling off a rock to be back in that. Yes, I'm a big fan of Star Frontiers, but I think it's issue 8 or 9 has the new skill system that this Game Master is using. And we had a really great time, and I'm looking forward to playing it again. And so yeah, I'm playing Star Frontiers again. And so after that, the next day I went and I reordered the 2 rule books. I've got them. I've got multiple copies of the old rule books, but they're 30 years old.
Yeah.
90s, 1000, maybe more than 30 years old. And these are not books that were sitting on a shelf in plastic. These were books I was leafing through constantly, spilling cream soda on, with Cheeto stains. These were much loved books. So I ordered a hardcover brand new copy of the Star Frontiers rules.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, wow, they actually have this? So I went on drive-thru and I ordered the 2 rule books. So I have crisp, brand new copies of games that were out like 30 years ago. One in hardcover, no less. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to treat myself.
Yeah, for sure.
And what was great is that we sell stuff on drive-thru. So I have a bunch of store credit just hanging there. So I went in, I'm like, you mean I can get these and not spend, and just use the account? I'm like, all right, this is a company expense. I don't know how I'm going to justify it, but it's a company expense, and so
Research.
I'll it's salary. It's part of my salary. I don't, so ordered them, and they came today, and games tomorrow, and I'm like, all right, cool. I better take a nap in the middle of the afternoon because I'm old and it's hard to stay up past midnight.
Fuck, I tell you.
But I'm going to do it for Star Frontiers. Oh, I'm staying up.
So Max asked, was it an original scenario or one of the older adventures?
No, it was a guy had drawn maps and has his own plot.
Nice.
And it's basic starting Call of Cthulhu. We're trying to find someone who's been kidnapped. We're trying to find out. We're doing Taken, basically. We're the guys, he said, I will find you and I will kill you. No, it's like, I will hire people to find you. We're the guys who were hired to find her and bring her home. So
nice.
We did a bunch of Zero Dark 30 stuff.
There you go.
The quote of the game, I'm happy to say, was mine. I had everybody cracking up. I'm like, we're 2 hours and 44 minutes into the game, and we are officially terrorists.
Nice.
And if you've played Star Frontiers, it usually doesn't take that long.
Right. Well, you're talking about, joking around being old. A lot of my games, 2 of my campaigns are on Sundays. So my work week starts on Sunday, so I'm up at like 4:30. So, if I have a game that night, and then some nights, like last night, I was up till 11, like it just fucks the whole week up because like it just throws everything off kilter. I try to get to bed at like 9:30 on a good night, so you're up till 11:30. Sometimes I'm up till midnight. Like, and if that's your second day of the week, like it's just a mess. It's just a mess after that.
To answer Max's characters, I am playing a Vrusk. In the new skill system, you pick 3 professions. My primary profession is agent, with a backup in science, where I took medicine, and a backup in military, which I took PGS, which is projectile gyrojets, sprayer weapons. And my Vrusk is an insect race, and my name is what is it? Kiltritic.
Nice.
So, yeah, I'm having a good time. And since I picked agent, and everybody else was, a lot of other players kind of picked military types. So I'm the guy on the roof directing the attack. So I got through the whole first section without being shot at once. I never fired my weapon. I was never fired at. I'm the guy with the binoculars, kind of like deploying the team, and they put more points in the weapons than me, so it worked out. So I got to be like the intelligence guy for the SEAL team, I guess you would say.
Everybody
I'm
needs that.
totally okay with that. I mean, not everybody wants to. Not everybody, you don't need that many Navy SEALs. You do need some intelligence guys.
Right.
Shaking down information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to know who you're going to shoot.
Right. I think the first thing I did is, can I roll to see if we can trust the cops in this town? And I rolled, and it turned out, no, we could not trust the cops. Like, okay, God, before we even landed in this town, I'm like, all right, guys, we can, because one of the reasons we were hired was the police weren't having much success finding her. And I'm like, I wonder why that is. And I just went on my computer, rolled my intelligence detective, and I'm like, yeah, guys, we're do not expect any help from the police. Do not share information. It will be leaked somehow. We are on our own. Yeah. So like, well, that's good to know. And I'm like, yeah, well, I guess that's why they have a new this is a new profession, agent. So, so yeah, it was ridiculous how quickly I slipped back into the groove,
Yeah.
And I could just be a player. This isn't cosmic horror. This isn't my jam. I'm just one more guy in the supermarket. It was great.
That's cool. Well, hopefully you get a nice little campaign out of this then.
We'll see. I don't want to hope for too much. I'm going to go into every session with, limited expectations and allow myself to be happy. I think expectations are how you set yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But I love the first session. Really looking forward to tomorrow. It's a great way to shut off that whole part of my brain.
Right. Right. Because it's a whole different thing.
Right. Because, even with Call of Cthulhu, when I'm running it, I'm working. Because if I'm running a game, it's a playtest. So even when I'm doing what I love, it's still work.
Right.
I'm not going to be publishing a Star Frontiers campaign. I don't even want to run the game. I just want to show up to play with my stupid character.
Right. That's cool. Well, you need. It's a good, flush because you're always involved in the minutia, the playtesting, or running.
World building,
things,
designing.
Yeah. It's nice to be able to have that, and I guess that's the problem of the forever GM and
always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Yeah, and designer on top of it. So it's not even like, oh yeah, we've been playing since Redbox, and or we've been playing since first edition, Call of Cthulhu or whatever. And I just like to run. You've got the double whammy of yes, I'm also creating.
Mm-hmm. Right. I'm kind of hoping those guys don't, realize that, I'm in the gaming industry. I'm not. They're like, oh, you've got a Kickstarter out. What's it all about? And I'm hesitant to tell them because I just, I'm enjoying the anonymity of just being a player.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I'm sorry. If that sounds like a douche thing to say, I'm really sorry because I don't want to sound like I'm the Hollywood starlet wearing her glasses. It's hard to be on all the time.
Right. Well, it's nice to be able to get that break and just be able to sit back and then enjoy that as a player and go through that experience because you don't get to do that but a couple of times a year maybe.
Right. Oh, even Call of Cthulhu I almost never get to play.
Yeah. Did we get you in a scenario or no? I know you've run a bunch of stuff for us. I'm trying to remember if you
I know I've played once, but that was not with you guys. No, I don't think I've ever gotten. And again, I never have time.
Yeah.
The fact that this is 10 to 2 in the morning for me on a Wednesday.
Oof.
I'm there's nothing going on then. I'm not having a meeting. I'm just going to be up. I'm going to be giving up sleep to play. So I'm sure if I want to do that, I can fit it into my schedule,
Right.
I would not usually be up writing or editing. I'd usually be asleep. And if it was a Saturday, no way, because that's, I have a family.
Right. Well, my buddy Kevin, he plays in our Rogue Trader game, and he plays on the Monster Hunt podcast, which is the other podcast that I'm on. And he's in the UK, so when we start at 9 o'clock or 9:30, it's 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So he's up in the middle of the night, and he's like, "Yeah, it's cool. Everybody's sleeping, so I want to do it, and it's not hurting anybody because they're sleeping."
Right.
So that's commitment.
Well, also it's guilt-free time. If you've got a family, if you've got a job, if you've got responsibilities, to have some time that you don't have to be guilty, that you're not taking away from anything else.
Right.
It's not bad. I can see how it's worth it,
Yeah, for sure.
As insane as that sounds, to be up late just so you can do something that, for me, in my case, anyway, for all honesty, is pretty dopey. But
it is, but it isn't though, right? Because as gamers, it speaks to your soul so much. As stupid as that sounds, I guess, but it's such a part of who we are to be able to get in and experience that, and sort of take on this other persona, and like maybe work through, like in our Day Trippers game, like the character I play, Jack Nash, is like me to the nth degree, like so hard, and it's like you get to work through stuff while you're playing, like it's almost like a form of therapy. So like even to be up in the middle of the night, like it fucks up the whole week, I wouldn't give it up for anything. Right. I mean, it's just amazing to be able to get that. And like even today after our game session, we were texting each other in character, because I'm like, hey, I have a question for you, and he's like texting me back in character. So I'm texting him back in character, and like it's so good.
You're preaching to the choir. I know exactly what you mean. I feel exactly the same way.
Absolutely. All right.
I mean, this will be the first time I'm playing the same character twice. In quite a while. Yeah. A couple of years, I think. And even the last time I played a character over multiple sessions was Call of Cthulhu. So,
no easy task that.
No. So yeah, it's I'm having a good time.
Cool, very cool. I'm glad you get to play, because it's yeah.
I really should have not. I should have worked harder to find a game. You forget how important it is to enjoy what you do, and especially when you're doing it as work.
Right.
It's easy to get lost in the spiral of working, and doing something that's completely non-work related. Especially something I loved so dearly for such a long period of my life. It's a nice little escape. I am enjoying my Wednesday nights.
Cool. Yeah,
leading into Thursday morning.
Well, and it's tough too when you join a group where you don't know people. Like you said, I could be back in a half an hour, or I'll see you tomorrow morning. When I get up, and it's hard to find. Like, gamers are cool generally speaking, but like you may just fall in with a group that they have a different play style, or like maybe somebody's got a weird whatever that you're like, I don't know if that's gonna it's gonna work for me, or like their interpretation of rules, or there could be any little thing that's like, wow, that really I don't want to. I don't want to do that,
right.
And it's hard because when you play with people that there's such a high degree of trust and comfortability. I don't think that's really a word, but that you can really
familiarity.
That you can express yourself in a way that is maybe not as easy. Like even
but also there's no surprises. So there, you know each other so well. It's when it works, it's fun to play with people that you don't know so well. Because you don't know what these people are going to do.
Yeah.
So there's an element of enjoyable chaos that for a game like Star Frontiers, where it's gunslingers and laser gunslingers and spaceships and grenades, in a game like Call of Cthulhu, where you've got 11 hit points and every gun can kill you, you don't want that chaotic guy at the table.
That'd be Murph.
But so it depends on the game. If I was going into a Call of Cthulhu tournament, yes, I would want to handpick my players. But if I was going into a Star Frontiers tournament, I would just, if you played back in the day and you love it, sure, and it'll all work out somehow,
Right.
And so it depends on the game. And again, since it's a pulpy game with a survivable combat system, it's way less stressful. You can just wing it.
Yeah. I guess my thought is more of like a Cthulhu or a D&D or something like that, where if you get one guy, it's like, all right, I guess we kill everybody, right?
Oh, yeah, D&D, you can have one bad player destroy the entire party.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all seen that with Leroy Jenkins.
You're right. Yeah. And I guess it is what it is.
Right.
I mean, you jump around and you find a group that you can play with, and good people, and man, you'll never have better friends.
I was really worried because I read on the message board, he was like, hey, I'm trying to run it, and like nobody showed up last week. And I'm like, if I'm staying up till 10 o'clock and nobody shows up, I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah.
And like 9 people showed up. We had it was like a bus worth of Call of Cthulhu players. And he's like, oh, this is the most we've ever had. I'm like, yes. So yeah, I was happy.
Cool. Very cool. All right. Well, we should probably get into rolling, wrapping this up.
Sure thing.
I obviously have links and all the stuff that you have going on, but if you want to throw out any last comments, contact information, all that kind of stuff.
Our Kickstarter's Growing Up Overnight. It's running till August 30th. The projects are going to be really easy to deliver. One is done. We hope to have them into people's hands, at least digitally, by Halloween. If check out the Kickstarter page. If you're interested in joining the campaign, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, it's not a huge buy-in for a couple of books of decent size. Shipping's not terrible here for the States anyway, I guess.
Right.
Anywhere else.
If you want to upgrade to hardcover, you can. If you want to catch up on any of our previous fiction, you can. Just add it on, and you'll be able to fill it out on the backer kit add-ons after. So yeah, we know how to do this a little bit better than we did in 2017. So we're hoping for a lot more success.
Cool. And then when we have Necronomicon in 2021, fingers crossed, you can bring your books and get them signed.
Yes, I will be there. I will be there. I will be signing books. I will be shaking hands. I will be, well, maybe not shaking hands. I will be there.
Fist bumping, maybe. Elbow bumping.
If the con is happening, I will be there.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely be there too. That's the one that I really look forward to when it's a thing. That's a no-brainer to be there.
And we are going back to that tiki bar, and we are ordering that giant bowl.
Oh my god!
It's horrible because Necronomicon can be a week long, and I still wouldn't be able to do and see everyone I want to do and see.
Yeah,
it's terrible because there's so many great things happening all at once, and you really have to pick and choose. And sitting in a tiki bar with a bunch of great guys, laughing our ass off, getting bombed, and then karaoke. Forget about it. Read the cat fiction. The cat fiction book is great. You can add that on. Tales of Terror with an I.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't do so. I do the pirate shanty because you're singing in a group. The karaoke is not my thing.
The karaoke party, the Cthulhu karaoke party, has become epic. I mean,
I have to come and learn.
There are videos of it all over the internet. I mean, everybody filmed it to embarrass each other and ourselves. I wouldn't miss that for the world. It's one of my favorite things about the con.
Yeah.
As stupid as that is, but
well, because it's just you get out and you have a good time and you just dick around and
blow off some steam with people you never get to see from all over not only the country, the world.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. I love that one so much. It's such a great, and everybody's so good. Like you just bump it and be like, oh, hey, like how you doing? Oh my God,
you can't throw a dead cat in in that town during Necronomicon without hitting somebody who's either an author or an artist or a sculptor or a podcaster or makes really cool t-shirts or makes really cool films.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, we're like, you walk past a restaurant, you look in, you see 9 industry guys, and they're like, hey, come in, get a drink, order a sandwich. And you're like, okay, sure. And they, like my company had a early Christmas party because we never get together. And on the other side of the room, there's 9 guys from Chaosium walking in, and I'm like, hey, let's send them wings because we have class. And it's like, hey, guys, and, we basically take over that beautiful little city. And it is a beautiful little city.
Yep. Yeah, it's fun just to go walking around all through, the old part of town. And I still haven't been to the grave, believe it or not.
Yeah, me neither.
Every year it's like, oh, we got to go do that. And like you said, there's so many things and you're picking and choosing. You run into people and like maybe you were going to do a thing, but oh shit, you're having a beer. Yeah, I'll come in. I'll have a beer or whatever. And then you forget what you're doing.
We've gone to the art show a couple times. Like we've gone to the galleries and saw some of the macabre art displays, which are fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's impossible to do everything you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
especially if you're like me and you're working.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I mean, I work, but kind of not really. I record a lot of stuff.
Dude, you're working. That's what you do.
Yeah,
that's what you're doing now. Would you look at yourself, man?
I know.
Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah, but it's fun. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully that happens because
yes.
Like this is cool. Like we get to hang out and chat. Like we've been on. We're pushing 2.5 hours now. but to sit and just like have a beer or a shot and like just,
right.
It's a whole different.
And I'm a fun drunk. I'm an I love you man kind of drunk. I'm not annoying. Well, I'm a little annoying, but it's like I'm not one of those angry drunks. Yeah. I'm going to hug you before I punch you. I'm that kind of a drunk. So.
Well, I look forward to it.
I do too.
Cool. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for stopping in. Thank Max for coming by. He's always here when you're here. One of these days, we're going to have him on while you're on.
Thanks, Max. Thank you for your support.
Yep. He's like super backer for Golden Goblin, so that's awesome too. We do have our coffee for sale. I just actually put in an order over the weekend, I guess. So hopefully that'll be coming soonish. That's Birds of a Feather Coffee Company. You can get the legendary brew at tinyurl.com/legendary brew or click the link in the show notes. It's an awesome medium roast coffee. It's a easy drinking everyday kind of coffee. A little bit of the money comes back to the show, and we appreciate that. The other, not flavors, but the other blends are also fantastic. I can't speak to the decaf because I don't.
I can. I'm on decaf now. I've ordered the decaf, and I really need to reorder the decaf because I ran out. But yeah, I mean, if you've got to drink decaf because your doctor doesn't like your blood pressure, then you could do a lot worse than Birds of a Feather.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And it's all roasted to order. It's not sitting around. I mean, Neil gets really great beans. If it was earlier this year, it was late last year. I know we joked around about it. He literally got a ton. He got 2,000 pounds of beans.
Support small business.
Yeah, absolutely. And you support small business, and it's good. It's fresh. If you get the whole bean, grind it yourself. Like I
guarantee that guy is not getting a check from the government because of COVID.
Yeah, for sure.
He needs your business, and you're drinking coffee anyway. Starbucks does not need your money. He does,
and it's not good anyway.
Right. I'm just saying, if you've got to order some coffee, support a little guy who's doing his best with passion.
Yep. If you use the code LEGENDS10, you're going to get 10% off your order on any of the coffee blends that Bird sells, and shipping is always free. So it's almost like you're giving it away.
They're super well packaged too.
Yep.
I mean, it comes in like a foil with a Ziploc thing that you can reseal everything.
Yeah, he got really nice bags.
Yeah, I was very impressed. I'm very impressed all the time, but yeah.
Yeah. I always order 2 at a time because you could fit 2 in the mailer, and it's cheaper for him, right? Because you just slam 2 in there with the same price, and you're going to drink it anyway. So like,
it's in a vacuum zipped thing. It's not going to go bad.
Yeah, for sure. And I drink enough; it doesn't last that long. But we also have our Patreon up. So if you feel like throwing a couple of shekels at the show, that's fantastic. Don't feel obligated. Nothing's behind a paywall. Everything's coming out. There's no hiding anything. We do a post show that's more of a Patreon exclusive. I started releasing all the outtakes on there as well. We used to throw them after the end show bumper. So like some of that stuff is now kind of more exclusively there, but you're going to get the games, you're going to get the interviews, you're going to get all of the stuff anyway. But if you feel so inclined, that's fantastic. If you don't want to do that, ratings, reviews on iTunes or whatever your podcatcher of choices is immensely helpful, maybe even more helpful, just to get more people listening to the show and getting some eyes on it. So that's an easy one. You can do that one for free, and we appreciate it. So thanks everybody for checking it out, and we'll catch you next time.
Later.